Well, good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to this Sunday, May 2nd edition of the Island Stats Cricket Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and join me a co-host, Dean Miners and Andre Doc Manders. And our guest this evening is Reginald Tucker, who works with the senior team, or has been working with the senior team as far as fielding and fitness. First of all, good evening, co-host. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good evening.
Not bad,
Good
Earl. Good evening to you, Earl. Good evening, Doc.
Good, good. And Brother Tucker, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hope all is well.
Good. Well, we usually start off with some of the performers. We've been doing Delray, who had two good knocks, but unfortunately, Sussex went down by 5 wickets to Lancashire. Delray got 42 in the first inning and 45 in the second. His second innings when he got his out, I don't know if you guys saw it, but one pitched outside the off stick and he was letting it go by, but the ball broke way back and took the top of the off stump. So unfortunately, he was going well. He had guys hanging around with him because the team was falling all around him. But as you guys said last week, you wouldn't be concerned because obviously it's still early and he's had two knocks of 40 now. After not even making 10. But when you look at that, confidence grows with that?
Oh, I would say, Earl, I mean, the only thing is you can turn his 40s into at least a 50 or 100.
Yeah.
But to score 40 both innings, and to be the top man in the second innings, I mean, his confidence got to be up now. I watched his innings, the second innings at 40, and he really grafted his 40. He really stayed to the wicket. He at one time he was like it was on about 10 and it was about 30-40 balls, and that's not how even the commentator was saying the same thing. But he hung around because he was losing wickets. So his fighting is early in the season, so he really looked compact and good. And I like the way how he was betting because Lancashire had some really good bowlers that were swinging the ball. So I'm pretty sure now he's got some runs on in his belt. Hopefully he could score some more.
Were you surprised he was so willing to give up the strike to the tail-enders as often as he was? Because he was seeing some good balls through and then would give the strike to the tail-enders.
Yeah, I thought that he had trust in the tail-enders because at first I was thinking he was gonna, go for it. But he was letting the tail end, so obviously he knew some of them could bet because they did hang around for him a bit. I thought they was probably about 50 to 75 runs short because they said they were at about 2. You never know, but because the wicket started to deteriorate a bit. And, I was somewhat surprised too that he was giving a lot of the strike to the tail enders. There was only one more batsman left. But which is good,
Yeah.
And then obviously,
No, I was just going to say, I totally agree with what Doc said. I mean, you got us somewhere along the line. The tail end will do something for you. I know sometimes we get so technical in thinking that, protect, get the strike. But I think that will come down like later, tournament time and those sort of things. But for early on in the season, I honestly believe that, expose them to those situations because you're going to need them later on. But I was really pleased. I was just looking at some of his stats, and I didn't get a chance to see him, but looking at his stats and how many balls did he actually face. But remember, Delray is versatile. I mean, he plays in the 2020 format, but he can bat. He's a versatile player. So I was really pleased. I'm really pleased. I think this season is going to have a good season. A big one, a really big one.
Yeah. Well, let's join into Mr. Tucker here. I know we have some numbers for our young people who are abroad, not so young, but our overseas players. But we want to talk to Reggie about what players should be doing with the unknown. What players should be doing to be prepared for this upcoming season, as far as fitness-wise, mentally and physically.
Mentally, physically, as it comes to the fitness aspect, guys have started doing the extras. I looked at resistance training. using the bands to strengthen the body. That's one area where we have a tendency when we go overseas, coming up injured. You know, if they develop a routine now where they strengthen the body, you know, the shoulder work, by the time you go overseas, you can't take a weight room with you. You can't take dumbbells with you. You know, you could take the resistance band, you could take the skip rope with you. These are stuff that guys kind of incorporate within their workout now to help with their level of fitness. Okay.
Okay. All right. Dean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the time frame right now. I mean, I do realize that we have international games coming up, and I realize that, you know, this season, we don't know when the season's going to kick off. And I know sometimes, you know, we have this hour in between. Should players incorporate a lot of running, or what are some of the things cardio wise that players could be doing?
The running aspect is one. The skipping is another one. It helps with that aspect. I looked when I was playing. I started to skip. I counted to 10. 10 was 1. I done 10 sets of 10. Then I went up even further, helped me mentally. I went to 20. Every 20 was 1. Then I went up to 50. 50 was 1. So if I messed up on 47, that didn't count. I had to go step the number in order to help with my mental toughness. Then I went up to 100. You know, you get 98, 99, and you mess up. You start back from 0. So if you're out there in the middle, mentally, that helps you to develop that mental aspect.
Got you.
You know, it's hard right now, but guys have to try to start doing the extras. First thing in the morning, jump jacks, sit up, push ups. That's what I was doing. You know, to maintain that level of fitness. You know, we like to be professional, but unfortunately, we're in the working world. You know, guys have jobs, but guys, if you want to play at the international level, you have to do the extras. You know, you have to do the extras. Extras could be, I heard you guys' discussion last week. A lot of guys say, "Oh, I want to be like Curly." You know, I want to be like Richard Basin. I'll use Richard for example. Richard had the dumbbells going. A lot of people didn't see that. Like I heard about Albert. Albert used to have a skip rope, 3-pound skip rope. So by the time he flicked that thing off his wrist, that ball was going. But I looked at the physical structure of the individual, and it's like, I want to be like that person. But are you actually doing? Are you willing to sacrifice? To get yourself in that type of shape to compete at the international level, and it's totally different in the international level. I found out I got involved in national squad when I was in my 30s. You know, for me, that was a little late because I saw certain things at the international level. I'm like, wow, this happens. But we look here locally, you got away with it. You know, you got away with certain things locally, they don't do internationally. You know,
it's strange how you talked about the skipping rope, you know, because I can remember, you know, when I was, you know, training for Stars, we used to do a lot of agility work, and Albert and Dexter Smith, they used to compete skipping. Those guys were very good skippers, and they used to, Dexter Smith and Albert, they, you know, before we train, those guys were skipping before they go into bed, after training, skipping. But you'd be surprised what skipping is hard to do. You know, it's very hard.
Technically,
and I'm saying these guys, man, skipping. You know, I'm trying to do, but it's good. You know, for agility. I mean, Dexter Smith was really good, and like I said, both of them. And it helps a lot for your feet work. You know, hand and eye coordinate, everything. You know, so I remember going. Doing my first coaching course and playing for Bermuda too. I can't remember who was coaching him, but like Reggie said, we had to take a skipping rope in our bag, or we wasn't going on that trip. That rope had to be in that bag, like your cricket bat. Or your
it's easier to carry.
That skip rope, yes. And we used to do a lot of skipping.
Funny enough, you say that story, Doc. I think it was around the time in '94. When I first went with the Bermuda national team to Kenya, Nick Jones was the training coach, and you know everyone had to have this skip rope. I was like, you know, Like, and you will hear words like, we're not boxers. So you got the skip rope. So we would go down by the poolside and we're constantly skipping, and everyone skipping, and everyone was really, really into it. But after a period of time, you like you said, you started to see the benefits of the skip. You started to see those sort of things. So it is amazing. Just the little small things that you can actually put into play.
Yeah.
Just watch. Yeah.
Reggie, I heard you talk about the mental part of it and the concentration level you would need. But some guys will look at it as, I'm only doing this for fitness. But how do you get into that psyche of challenging oneself to do it, and then kind of talking to them that you're actually now changing that focus to when you're out at the wicket, that you're now focused more because you're able to count, not mess up, and get the fitness in at the same time?
I'll mention when I went Trinidad. I shouldn't, but I'll mention about Trinidad. I got an opportunity to go with the national sport, and that's when we met Logie. Logie came on to you guys about hitting the ball. He had a ball to the guys, stop the camera. And guys were laughing, like, oh, yeah, you're laughing. I'm saying, okay, fine. But I was one of the guys who hit the ball at. I was there. Narrow was to my right. OJ was to his right. He was about 10 yards away from us. Hit the ball. So I use a cue. The minute the ball leaves his hand, I put my hands together. The minute he dropped the ball, my hands got together. The ball hit a fence behind us, the batting cage, and rolled about 3 feet in front of us, going back towards him. And that's at the international level.
Wow.
So guys are saying, oh, yeah, some people laugh. Oh, yeah. I'm saying, do you realize the guys who he was hitting the ball to? It wasn't like any Joe Blow. You're talking about quality fielders who is basically hitting that. So these are things that I'm trying to get I teach at Science, and I try to get my students to understand, if you want to get to that next level, this is stuff that you're going to have to start doing. This way you're going to take your cricket as far as serious is concerned. I also got an opportunity to go to Trinidad in 2018, and I traveled with the Trinidad Knight Riders, the CPL team, and I got a chance to travel along with the team, training sessions, team meetings, being out on the field while they're playing, and I could go in the change room whenever I wanted to. Had that freedom. In the finals, who was it? Guyana made, I think, 147, under 150 in the final. So the fielding coach had 3 balls in his mitt. He said, okay, let's get Brendan McCullum throwdowns. So I was like, okay, fine. Brendan McCullum, I got my mitt standing next to him. The guy told me, oh, go back about 3 steps. I'm saying to myself, I'm a fielder. I'm the fielding coach. I'm going for glove. The first ball he threw, Brendan done a punch drive. One bounce, I picked up my glove, threw to the guy, John. He looked at me and said, oh, you're pretty good with the glove. The second one he threw, Brendan done the same punch drive. By the time my glove went down, it had bounced and gone over, hit the boards behind me. So I said, okay, fine. Okay, I'll take 2 steps back just in case. The third one they hit, by the time he hit the ball, I turned around and I looked. The ball had gone over the boards behind me, bounced, and went up in the stands and hit somebody in the stands. And I'm saying to myself, this to be any ball is hit at the international level. So stuff like that there is that from the mental aspect, that's where the training comes into play. And just to let you know, with the national squad, they've announced the coaches. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. And when we were on our last tour, I sat down and I talked with Herbie. Like, we had a team meeting where we sat down and talked. And after the team meeting, Herbie was there, and it was just us talking. And I told him honestly, I said, honestly, with the drills that he has, he doesn't need me as a fielding coach because his drills are that much on point. His drills are on point, and I'm glad of the drills that he does do with him. I look at the way which I hit the ball. Like there's 2 demonstrations or explanations that I tell you about hitting a ball. I hit balls to guys laugh at me. You know, so from that aspect, I'm not disappointed that I'm not involved in the sport, but the thing is that the guys who are there have to get the balls hit at the international level. And I'm glad that Jeff is involved with the squad because Jeff hits the ball. You know, Narrow hits the ball. These guys hit the really solid when they hit balls in training. And that's one thing I'm glad about, you know, is that Harvey is doing an excellent job with the personnel that, you know, with the drills, his understanding. And I wish him and the team all the best, you know, but guys have to do the actions. You know, that date and time doesn't change. When this tournament is, that doesn't change. It may change 1 or 2 months, but you know that due date. So guys have to do the actions to prepare. Don't say I wasn't ready.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have more with Reggie Tucker. We'll be right back.
Nature's Path Organic are a family business, major proponents of the organic method of food production with decades of experience in the field, and have diversified their interests focusing on animal welfare and children's education in that realm. Hence the introduction of Enviro Kids cereal made to the exacting standards we expect and benefiting their cause. Saving animals one breakfast at a time. 1% of sales goes towards protection of animals and their habitats. We're featuring Enviro Kids organic, gluten-free Gorilla Munch cereal. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Hi, I'm Barry Wilkinson, and I'm excited about our new season of Line and Length in association with Massey United Insurance. This season, we are happy through our sponsors to assist junior athletes and sports persons on a monthly basis to be the beneficiary of a donation of sporting gear. Clubs, coaches, and sporting organizations can nominate persons to receive assistance. The donations will be given each month to assist with social improvements and a relief program aimed at exposing and promoting youth in sport throughout the Caribbean. How to reach us to submit your nomination? Send me an email to the address below, or send a note to our Facebook page or our IG page. Tell us about your athlete and why they should receive the support. Nominations for the month should be submitted no later than the 15th of every month. After a careful selection process, a donation will be made in a different island every month starting from March 2021. I'm so excited, and we must thank Massey United Insurance. So get writing and watching the new season of Line and Length.
And welcome back. Dean, you had a comment or an opinion?
Well, I had a question for Reggie. I know that on tour, which we basically experienced together, and you have structured, and I've experienced this with you. You've structured, you put your curtains out, the team gets a really good warm up, and then we return back to Bermuda because we know the importance of the warm up, preparing for the game and everything like that, and then we come back to Bermuda. What are some of the things that you've had the experience? You've been around, you've seen it. What are some of the things that you would want to see at the club level that will actually take us to get us closer to that next level? Because I think that's something that we're not seeing at the club level here. It's an hour before the game, because I remember being on tour, you got an hour and a half for the game and warming up. What are some of the things that you would want to see now, with your experience now at all the clubs before the game? What would you like to see?
There are some players who have been overseas and they're seeing teams work or develop stuff, train at a high level, they see certain drills. And honestly feel there's certain players need to start bringing the stuff from even the national level, but they have it at the national level, and introduce it back into the clubs. Certain players have to start taking stuff back to the clubs and incorporating those drills within the clubs, and the coaches at the clubs be acceptable of that. I use one person right now. I use the young Quincy James at Willicox. I use him as an example. He's been involved in the national sport, and I came about 2 years ago to play, and he's the one who was out there telling the youngsters, let's get out there, let's get this warm up in. The warm up is important. Some guys don't realize the importance of the warm up, but the shorter version of the game it is very important. If you ain't ready to go from ball one, that first ball that you build cannot be a loose one, because that ball is going to the boundary, so it can set the turn. So that's it. That's why we look at as far as the importance of the warm up is concerned. It gets your body ready for the activity in which you're going to be doing.
Very good.
Let me ask you guys, because Doc, you're still involved, Reggie, you're still involved. I see the Bermuda Football Association, they have a coaches association where coaches get the chance to mix and mingle and share information and so forth. Can you see, would that actually benefit the Bermuda Cricket Board? Because I know Herbie had at times, and even when Gus was coaching, he would invite coaches to the training session to let them do kind of drills to help them along kind of thing. But a coaches association for cricket, do you think that is something worthy and needed, that some of those things, especially warm-ups, drills and all that, can be kind of done on a regular basis amongst the local clubs? So when it gets to the international level, some of that is already worked into a program?
That's a good idea, Earl. I was thinking about that years ago. Seriously, about a coaches association, because everybody has different opinions on coaching, drills and stuff. And like what Reggie said, Herbie's one of the best persons with drills. You know, he has different drills every time, so it's not boring when you come. A lot of times when you do drills, you do the same thing over and over and over. It gets boring. One thing about Herbie, he has different drills every time you come. I'm coaching Herbie under 19, so every time he comes, he's got a different drill, so it's not boring. You know, so that's good. And with a coaching association, we got guys like Herbie, Reggie, that you know, if say we're having a Zoom meeting now, these guys could bring up these types of drills, show the other coaches, not only drills. Like me, I go around, I like helping the youngsters in betting, because, you know, I'm done some betting coaches in the UK. So when I come back, you know, I coach a lot of the younger players from different clubs. I'm not only doing it at Stars. You know, I help a lot of the Warwick guys. You know, anybody that calls in that needs help, I just go do one-on-ones with them. Because I think at this level now, you just can't be. It's good to coach at a club, but you need to get involved with all the teams, because a lot of clubs don't have coaches. So you got to try to help them. If you want to get improved cricket, you need. You have to be helping going around. That's what I want to ask you, Reggie, too. Even being that you're not involved with the, the national team, are you going around helping? You know, like I know you do something, you do riller cuts, but would you be going around to helping like other clubs if they call in action? I know you might be busy too.
When Clay was coach, that's what we guys were doing. You know, when we were available. Like my lifestyle right now is difficult outside of my job. You know, and the reason why I say it's difficult is because, you know, I have other commitments outside the cricket. You know, I also have to take into consideration too that my wife is on the national team in Berlin. You know, I'm on national was involved in the national squad. She's involved in the national squad. You know, she doesn't drive. You know, and I'm just throwing it there is that, you know, I have to make sure that my family is taken care of.
Right.
So when it comes to training, and ever since I've been back, my attitude has been, if I'm available, I'll make myself available to you. But I don't want to be saying, oh, I have to be there at 6:30 on a Thursday. If I drive across and I see something and I want to give a person a hand, I'll be willing to do that. And I can't tell you the amount of clubs who's asked me, oh, will you come coach us? Guys, you come coach you come. And I'm like, right now is in a point in time in my life where I have to focus on, and I'm getting old. I don't know how to focus on my family. You know. So from that aspect, I think the board is trying to get coaches together to go around to deal with these certain situations. So, and I'm available. I'll make myself available, but to say that I'm going to be there every day, every Thursday, I can't see that right now. Yeah. Okay.
Let me ask you guys, what has been the change of the game from the time you guys played? Because back when you played, you had a coach, but guys were self-motivated. So they would do those extras. They would spend time in the nets, or they'll spend time bowling, or they'll spend time just doing stuff. Where today's people that play the game, they'll show up 15 minutes depending on who wins the toss. They'll call, who won the toss? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And that determines what time they're going to actually show up. So kind of what has changed to make it that way?
Change. That's a good question.
Bro, that's
that question, D.
And
Stop it, Earl. That's a question. Honestly, that's a very, very good question. Like, what has changed? Has it been the motivation of the players? Has it been players due to work commitments? Throughout the week, I've seen over a number of times, whereas training sessions have been dwindled down due to the fact that guys had to work. But again, like you said, if you go back in the day, even if you had to work, even if you showed up late, there was another day that you can go ahead and train, or there was we said it, you put in your extras, all right, and you was always committed to that team. You know what I mean? The team purpose and that team goal. So even if you couldn't make it, a coach would even make themselves available and say, well, listen, if you can't make it on a Wednesday, you could come on a Thursday. Now, I remember going back and Gus Logie, unfortunately, when he was coaching us at the national level, he basically, there were times that we couldn't make it. And he would say, well, I can make myself available. If you need a one-on-one session during your lunch break, you could go ahead and you could come and meet me. And then, let's be honest. If you did not train, and I think we've gone away from that. If you did not train, you don't play. And I think a lot of coaches and a lot of situations, if there's guys that couldn't train or called in, or you see them, hey, look, man, I couldn't make it, and they're still playing on a Sunday. Oh, you need me. So it came down to you need me. So I think we have to get back to the basics of saying, all right, guys, we're starting from if you don't train, you can't play. Or if you cannot make it on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I could do a one-on-one on a Wednesday for you. So I think we've got to revert back to those things. That's how I feel.
I think one of the things, the purpose of winning overtook the purpose of commitment. Because 9 times out of 10, the better player saying, I ain't training, but come the Sunday or the Saturday, walks in the changing room and his name's first on the list. So, and the guys that are not as talented, that have worked hard all week, actually now have to carry the water.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the things that has changed. Doc, what do you see?
I know Dean was trying to say what he said is true about the work commitment, but it's also the social life too.
Yeah, right.
Look, sometimes it's got to be real, Most of the times it's probably is work commitments, but the social life too, like is what these guys do on the weekends. Like, we all like to, hang out, but sometimes you got to remember you're playing cricket. It's all day. It's almost all day. You got to get your rest. You have to prepare mentally and physically for those 2 days. Because when I was playing, sometimes you just play Saturday and Sunday. So if you hung out on the Friday night, never you can hang out on the game on the Saturday night. You got to play Sunday. So I'm saying that it's not all the players are like that, but it could be that. It could be a various things. Like it's just that a lot of the players have got so much things to do now. They, maybe it's kind of, I didn't have no cell phone. Nobody called me no cell phone. I messing around with my iPad and all that. I'm going training, but it's a lot different now. These young players and players have a lot of things to do, man. But like I said, it's not all of them. But it was interesting, Dean. You mentioned about certain players too. Know that they're going to play. Like you go players like, oh, I didn't need to train this one day and I'm playing, because they're making runs. But still, it's bad because you got players that are training 3 times a week, and like you said, I got to bring out the water. That's not right. It's frustrating for the younger players too. because every team now it's not all about winning. Sometimes you gotta lose. You know, like when I played for Stars, I'll give you a scenario. When we played for Stars, man, everybody was beating us up because we was young, right? And then it came to a time. Jeff said this last time he was on. It came to a time where we guys said, "No, look, I'm getting tired of these teams like Rangers, B, and doing everything, beating us up." You know, we was young there, was like 16, 17, and we said, "Look, this is it. We're gonna start training harder. Everybody committed to training, and then when you look, we start winning. So sometimes you have to tell the players, like, in order for you to be a good team, you need to train."
Just to add to that, Earl, when I looked around the league, right, and these players were, they were good players. I mean, I still say they were half-a decent players, but they worked on their fitness and they worked on their game. And when I go through all the teams and I used to see them getting much success, I used to be concerned with them myself because I would be cut short. Now, and Doc, you guys would agree with me when you think about players that, I mean, he put the work in. Guys like Dexter Smith put the work in. He'll do more, right? And then you've got Aaron Adams, and you got these guys like Aaron Adams from Cleveland. Think about those players that were not, I would say, in that realm of those natural guys like Charlie and those guys, right? But when you start seeing those guys around Ryan Balberta, when you start seeing these guys put in the work and they train hard and they got much success, it started to make you realize that you wanted to be a part of that. But you don't see, it's like you don't see that again. You don't see those players that are putting that extra. Yeah, you don't. Unfortunately.
I also look at it as, either you either like it or love it. You like it or you love it. And I think a lot of the youngsters today like the sport. They like the game of cricket. They don't really, some of them don't love it. And what I mean by that is, I have some students at Sands. They ask me, "Oh, Talk, when are we playing cricket? When are we playing cricket?" I say, "Okay, fine, we're playing cricket in March. Right now, we're supposed to be playing cricket." But I tell them, first we have to get in shape. You have to get in shape. So I look at from September to March, you should be working on your fitness. You should be working on your fitness. So now, come March, all I have to work on the technical aspect. I shouldn't have to worry about your fitness aspect. And that's where I think it has changed over the period of time. We will more or less perfect a cover drive, on drive. We will work on that. Guys of today, 1 or 2 out of 10, they hit 2 good cover drives or 2 on drives, and they're satisfied. Oh, I want to do something else. But back then, we had to perfect. And that's why I think a little change has come in reference to the game. I tell kids, "Oh, let's do X, Y, Z." "Oh, why am I going to do that? Why? So I get a little resistance from that. But I'm like, in order for you to get to that next level, you have to work on those basic skills. You have to master those basic skills. So if you get in trouble, you can always fall back on. And then I also look at the game that we play now, the size fields we play on, some of the shots guys make. Early on in innings, a guy may give a chance. Like you talk about Delray. I looked Delray when he got the 2. He played a cover drive. Joe Root dove to his right, took the catch. I'm saying to myself, okay, fine, he did pretty solid. Down here in the league, a person may not even dove for it, or may have dropped it. So that opportunity, that 2, could have gone on to a 50, a 70, 100. But that chance that you give early at the international level, you're walking back in the pavilion. So when guys go to bat, it's important that you put your head on, look, evaluate your innings. Evaluate your innings. I ran away to in England with a squad, with under 13 squad, under 15 squad. I went there, shook the coach's hand, and the coach told me, "Look, I got 3 guys. My first 3 guys can make 50 runs." Coach hadn't even seen us play. He said, "Oh, my top 3 guys can make 50 runs." I'm saying to myself, "You got to be joking." 2 of them made 50. The other one made 30. Took a great catch off him. But that's the mentality guys got to start having when they prepare themselves. You know, when I go to the bet, and I say to Coach Enough, put that challenge up to your open bets, your top 3 batsmen. You know, your first four, I'm expecting 50 from the 3 of you. You know, throw those challenges out to your players. You know,
Reggie, I have a question for you, and I hear this
Yes.
all the time. Guys say I'm football fit and cricket fit. What is the difference with this football fitness and cricket fitness? I mean, I have an idea in my mind, but clear it up for me. Like, you know, guys say, you know, well, I just came off a football season, so I don't have to do as much for cricket. What? Clear that whole conversation up for me, please.
it depends on what level you want to play at. It depends on what level you want to play at and what is your purpose of your training. If your purpose of your training is for your health, personal health, you always want to improve that. If it's just for a sport, then you put the effort into the sport. Once the sport is finished, I say they need time to recover. But then that level goes down. I was fortunate. I played both soccer and cricket.
Right.
So I went from one sport right into the next, and then right along through.
So did you change gears? Did you do anything different? Like when you started playing football, you rested and then you started playing cricket. So the same amount of running that you did in football, let's hypothetically say, you know, you would go for a 6-mile run in football. Would you continue it with cricket as well? Did you do the same thing? Because you were just as agile and quick as...
I didn't do as much running for the cricket that I did for the soccer.
Okay.
I didn't do as much running as I did for the soccer.
Right.
But I done more agility stuff.
Okay.
I done the skipping, maintain my level of fitness.
Okay.
And that's where the match fitness comes in as far as competition is concerned. You can do all the training you want. But if you're not playing games, and that's where I feel for these guys aren't playing games. Right. So how are they supposed to get or compete at that next level if they're not playing games? You know, that's the unfortunate part with us.
What about you, Doc? Which says, Earl, Doc, remember Doc used to, Doc, you did 24th of May.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of running.
Yeah.
You did a lot of running.
Yeah, I done a lot of running after I finished playing cricket too, but I still done a lot of running during the cricket season too to keep in shape.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But you know, but I always try to stay in shape, whether it's football or cricket. And like Reggie said, well, I was a goalkeeper, so you still have to be in shape. But when cricket came around, you know, sometimes, you know, when you feel, you know, football was 90 minutes, you know, the field. Cricket, sometimes you only feel all day, so you got to be, and it's hot, you got to be mentally prepared and fit. So that's why I done a lot of preseason running before the season started, and then during the season I didn't do too much because I already had that base. I used to do like Reggie said, a lot of skipping and other stuff that I used to use tennis racket a lot too, tennis ball, hitting up against the wall for tennis, catching like slip catching. So and a lot of agility work with my feet, skipping and cool work. So. But yeah, that's what my runner was for.
Yeah. We're going to take another commercial break, but when we come back, Reggie, I want to ask you about the mental part of preparing guys for the next level and how important it is to get to them at a young age. We'll be right back.
There was a time when sea vegetables were considered exotic by most, and then along came sushi consisting in raw fish with rice and sea vegetables, notably seaweed and porphyra. The folks at Gimme Health Foods know that sea vegetables are fat-free, low in calories, and one of the richest mineral sources in the vegetable kingdom, as they flourish surrounded by the mineral-rich ocean. And that roasted seaweed is a real good eats. Could this be the ideal snack? We're featuring Gimme Health organic sea salt and avocado and sesame seaweed snacks. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Hi, I'm Barry Wilkinson, and I'm excited about our new season of Line and Length in association with Massey United Insurance. This season, we are happy through our sponsors to assist junior athletes and sports persons on a monthly basis to be the beneficiary of a donation of sporting gear. Clubs, coaches, and sporting organizations can nominate persons to receive assistance. The donations will be given each month to assist with social improvements and a relief program aimed at exposing and promoting youth in sport throughout the Caribbean. How to reach us to submit your nomination? Send me an email to the address below, or send a note to our Facebook page or our IG page. Tell us about your athlete and why they should receive the support. Nominations for the month should be submitted no later than the 15th of every month. After a careful selection process, a donation will be made in a different island every month starting from March 2021. I'm so excited, and we must thank Massey United Insurance. So get writing and watching the new season of Line and Length.
And welcome back. Reggie, I asked that because in many sports, especially for our young people, I would see them, if they get a 10-second break, they're to the sideline with their phone and they're looking for God knows what. But their attention span is not, when they go into a sport, is not totally focused on the sport. How do we get to them at a young age to kind of make sure that they could channel that? Because if you're able to focus in a sport, it helps you in life as well, and in your rest of your life as well, in job sakes.
My thing is how serious do they want to get into that sport? How serious? And if you're serious about it, then you do your extras. You do your extras as far as, like, I go on YouTube a lot, trying to find out information, as much information that I can to better myself. Or I'll get around individuals, I'll talk to individuals and listen to what they have to say about the sport that I'm interested in. And then I will train with the mentality. Not every time you're on the field, you're going to be tuned in, because sometimes they may hurt you more. But at certain times in a game where you have to be able to switch that mentality aspect.
Yeah.
And as if a child is really serious about it, and they say they will show you what they're doing outside of the sport, what they're doing extra. That will show. And I tell people straight, if you want your child to be successful, if your child's planning on being successful in a sport here, get them overseas. Get them overseas in those competitions. The more they play out there, the better it may be for them. You know, not to say that the level is low down here or bad down here, is that you get exposed more out there. But that comes to the person's attitude.
Right.
You know, they have to be serious. You know, I have kids at my school saying, "Oh, I want to be this athlete. I want to be that athlete." But I try to tell them, you have to do X, Y, Z in order to be that athlete. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? You know, are you willing to make that sacrifice? And if you're willing to make that sacrifice, then okay, fine. You will see it in your performance. If not, you're just gonna go through the system. And look at some guys who come back from overseas who've played international. You know, I look at a person who's been away to college who's come back. They'll play it at a higher level, but once they come back here to this island, they get used to the same mentality. Instead of having that professional approach, they lower the standards, and then they become right back into the same system. So in order for us to get to that next level, guys have to come back and try to raise to the level of the sport that they're doing.
Reggie, can you share the story? Or I had the opportunity, Reggie shared the story with me one time. He was in his classroom, and the story with Dwayne Wade. Can you just, and you were explaining something with the students, Dwayne Wade wanting to
get to that next level.
Just get to tell the story. It's interesting.
And it's a YouTube video. It's Dwayne Wade Nutrition. It talks about his personal chef. Dwayne Wade, with his nutrition aspect, he found himself constantly getting injured, you know, and he started off saying in the clip, in that I got myself to this professional standards by doing what I had to do, by doing what I ate. My diet wasn't important to me, and so forth. Then he found himself constantly getting injured, and then the nutritionist prepared his diet for him so that it would help him to become stronger. You know, diet is very important. I even look at myself. as far, and I look at our athletes compared to the other athletes that we compete against. Some of them look a lot stronger than we do, due to the fact of the foods that we consume. Our diet can play a big part in the way in which we perform. You know, and that's what Dwayne Wade did. Got a nutritionist. The nutritionist went to, and he said it was a team approach, went to the strength and conditioning coach. At this time, I need more protein in my diet. Okay, if I'm sore, what food has antioxidants to help the inflammation within my body so that my career could be longer. And that's what this nutritionist did. So diet could play a big part in a person's career also, in the way they prepare themselves for the sport.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, but it's that personal approach, and the other thing is, as they say, it's what you want to get out of it, and you know, you have to want to first achieve it, and then actually make people believe that's what you want to achieve, kind of thing. You have to keep telling your story until someone actually starts to believe that's what you want to do. When you look at some of the guys that you've worked with over the years, Reggie, who would you say stands out as far as they want to improve, and especially at the national level, they want to improve and they're willing to try every and anything to ensure that whenever they go to bat or they bowl, that they're, or even in fielding side, they do the best they can.
Well, when was it? When Western County first started having a junior program, it wasn't that long that I worked with the person, but I had the privilege of having Delray in the program, and it was only like one summer, and his mentality at that young age was a professional approach. You look at him today, same professional approach. You know, deal on time, done the drills. I used to drop a ball or have him hit off a tee to drive through a net. Then I tossed the ball, he drove through the net. You know, that was his mentality. And you look at him today, the same mentality. Before when I worked the junior pro with the national sport, you know, guys would do that. The minute I turn my back, I'm hearing things hit the top ceiling. You know, and you talking about another youngster today, Jamal Proctor. There's another one came through Sands. I have 1 year with him. He's overseas now. So there's a couple of players out there who have developed over a period of time. You know, one person really caused me to change my style of teaching was Kwame Tucker. You know, I taught him my first year at Sands. I used to build him. He used to hit me over actual cover of the school. You know, I had to incorporate a rule in there. You hit over the school, and a lot of guys don't understand. You hit a ball over the school, now you're out.
Right.
Because he used to hit me over there and say, "Talk, go get your ball." So I said, no, I can't have a student do that. So I incorporate certain rules in there to limit, you know, so I might go back today, like go back when school goes in. Oh, that's the reason why we can't hit the ball over the top. But from tactical aspect, you look at Queen's bed, you know, it's tactical. You know, I had a lot of players who've come through through Sands. You know, this my 30th year of teaching at Sands. So you can imagine the amount of people who's come through. You know, and some of them have represented the country at the national level.
Right. That's one thing, guys, that before school started, even football and even cricket, guys had a lot of time. They were out in the yard, whatever. Guys go to school early just to get a hit or just to get a kick or whatever.
Of course.
Is it still like that now, Richard?
Yeah, it is. It is. Like soon December comes, January starts. The kids out there right now getting bets, playing cricket. You know, they play the game, gets out, goes in.
Right.
You know, they play that, person gets person out, you go in. They go there and play it. But the thing is, when it comes to class, some of them don't really appreciate it because I tell them, well, if you get out, everybody has to get a hit.
Right.
So if Doc gets me out, I'm gonna wait till everybody else in the class gets goes in before I get another hit. And
Right.
that helps with the appreciation of, when you betting. You get out, first ball, you're out. And that's where we play it back in the day. You get out, everybody has to get a hit. But now that's how
Just
good
don't
in.
speak.
Yeah. And
You know.
and the thing about it, aren't the girls just as enthusiastic and the ones that keep the rules of the game like really, really tight?
Yeah.
The girls are just as
that.
yeah.
Girls are competitive too. Just as competitive.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at how we are situated right now, we're not playing. We're not sure when we could possibly play. I'm banking on the weekend after June 9th. I'm banking on that. That would give us, just about a month for the national team to be ready to play their international match. Which is because if you look at it right now, USA are playing. I'm not sure if Canada's actually started, but they were looking to start. We're way behind the 8 ball. I don't know about Cayman, but it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle, and we have to try to do things to uplift the players' spirits because they're going out there at a like already mentally struggling because of their regular life, not the cricket life, but the regular life. Everybody right now is mentally struggling with this COVID. We're a little worse off than others as far as with our restrictions and so forth. But how do we get them into the right frame of mind to want to represent Bermuda and then go through all the things that the government's putting them through to compete as a team? Because obviously there's that saying that you got to come back and you got to quarantine and you got to do this, or if you're not vaccinated, you got to do this and you got to do that. And some guys might just throw their hands up and say, you know what, I'll miss this. To the detriment of the country. How do we address that?
That's a good question.
Earl.
It's difficult, Earl.
Yeah, it will be very difficult. I was talking to one of my good friends today, and they were, suggesting. But you also got to have finances. They were suggesting that pick a group of players, put them in a bubble, take them off island, put them in a bubble, and I guess try to get as much practice as you possibly can with them inside that bubble. Because really and truly, like you said, you've hit on a number of things just now. You're talking about getting a counselor, because now they're dealing with life. So now you got to get a counselor to unwind a lot of stuff that they're dealing with. Then you got to get them match fit. Then you got to get them, in that playing practice condition. And then monitor that bubble, and then try to get them up to speed before this tournament. And have the finances to do it. So Earl, that's a tough one.
Because basically it all comes down to finance. That's the main.
They have to be in a bubble.
Yeah.
But
because the one thing that anybody that is going to represent the country, they want to ensure, and Reggie mentioned it earlier, your family's taken care of. If that burden is off your shoulder, you can say, okay, I'm going to be away for a month, committed to this, but I need to make sure that this is taken care of whilst I'm over here doing that. And then the other most important thing is to ensure that I have a job when I come back. Because, some places might say, listen, we're in tough times right now. We might have to replay a month. I don't know about that. So then, that creates another problem for a team per se. For anybody trying to represent the country right now, there's choices. There's going to have to be choices because we don't have the funding to do it.
Yeah.
And a good thing about that, Earl, what you were saying, if you had the funding and the finance, you could keep these guys in a bubble. Right now in the UK, they're playing, right? It's a lot of teams for preseason. Those clubs are looking for teams to play against. Bermuda could have, saying have their national squad together now, right? In a bubble, they could be playing. But then again, like you said, it has to come down to they're gonna have to help their families, make sure they got the job and the combat security and other things too. But they could be in a bubble in the UK somewhere playing cricket, right? Right now, preseason, they'll be getting a lot of games in. And by the time this tournament comes around in June, July, they'll be somewhat ready. It doesn't even have to be right now. It could be like, say, the end of this month, 2 or 3 weeks. It's still, they still got time. But for June the 9th, and then the tournament's in about a month, it's going to be difficult. And the first thing people is going to be saying, as soon as they go out there and they, they perform below power. Oh, why do you send these guys out there? They're not looking at everything else. The time that they had to be prepared, no practice games, and everything is rushed. It's going to be difficult. Like Dean said, that's the only way I could see them being in a bubble, training together and playing matches. Matches that you need those matches before the game starts. Those warm-up games is very important.
Very important.
Right.
It's hard for these guys to go into this tournament and you got one practice game, right?
Yeah.
Or no practice games, and then they're supposed to compete at that level. It's not on to me.
But Earl, we haven't even. I mean, we're talking about even preparing them for the tournament, right? What about at the tournament? What's going to happen? You're going to be isolated in a room. You're going to prepare the players for that. You're going to be isolated in a room. How are you going to get the food sorted out? The traveling on the bus. I think in England right now, every few overs you got to hand sanitize or do something completely different. So we're not even talking about tournament rules. Because remember, every tournament that you go to, you got to have tournament rules, right?
Yes.
So we're not. Are they going to be used to that?
Right.
Do you know?
We saw.
Interesting, you said that, Dean. That cut you off. Interesting, you said that in the under-19 tournament. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. If one player from any one of those teams has becomes positive, that team's out of the tournament.
Huh?
The whole team. The whole team would be. I'm telling you, Dean. So let's say USA, one of the USA or Canada, one of the top teams, one of the players gets the virus.
The rules will change. For them, the rules will change.
It would probably would. But so I'm just saying, like, these are the precautions they have to take. But I'm saying, so prime example, you said they're in a bubble. They have to eat. It's going to be difficult, man.
Yes.
I don't know if this is going to be the senior tournament, but I think in the under-19 tournament, I'm pretty sure this is what they're talking about. One or two players gets positive, that team's kicked out of the tournament. So you could have a Cayman Island going through representing the Americas region, or Brazil.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's right. I mean, for the ICC to make that ruling, but it's just hard. This is the way how the way how we're living right now with this COVID.
Yeah. But we had problems before the pandemic with the national court training. Before the pandemic, as far as being able to use up the stadium, you get a pitch to train on. This was before the pandemic, and now all of a sudden with this pandemic, even training indoors. We weren't able to train indoors. We weren't able to train outdoors. That was before the pandemic, and now with this coming in, I just it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. The best thing to do, like you said, get a group together, put them together, send them away, and hopefully the BCB could cover the wages, or the government could cover the wages of these guys. But that's the best thing we can do.
The only plus is, and I'm hoping that the Bermuda Cricket Board has reached out to the Bermuda Football Association, because they've actually had to go through it. The travel, the training camps, they're having to quarantine back here in Bermuda. They've been through it. They lived it. They've experienced all the negative parts and all the positive parts. But hopefully that they've had talks and try to figure out how they can work it in. And then the one of the most important things that has to happen is that you have to be able to be open and honest with the players, because it's going to come down to them having to make a decision whether or not they're going to be available. But you give them as much information as possible, trying to do all the admin stuff yourself, and then try to tell the players this is what it is. We're in a different time right now. We're in a different space. And I think that you need to have the players knowing what those things will be beforehand, so that if they make that commitment, they already know what they're up against. You know what I mean? So I just think, and I think that the association, the Bermuda Football Association, have included the players somewhat, to some degree, in a lot of the conversations. So at least they're left with making that decision, and if they commit, then they're in both feet, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I just think, I'm hoping that the Bermuda Cricket Board have or will reach out to the Bermuda Football Association just to get some eye there, and possibly utilize their guidelines, because they've been through it and they're going to go through it again.
But that's good, Earl. But did one or two of the players also be positive, even though they had all those protocols?
Yes,
you had one or two of the players. So, but they didn't get kicked out of the tournament,
right?
So we're living in this time. So I see what the IC is trying to do, but I can't see him penalizing the team because one or two players. But it's I don't know what the protocols are for the ICC tournaments, but it's unless they just cancel the whole tournament, because
they can't, because the importance of the World Cup, they won't cancel. That's why they won't cancel these tournaments, because they deem the World Cups as the important thing for them for cricket. What is it? Every 2 years, right? So the importance of having the World Cup. That's why they've had the World Cup qualifications in football. I mean, one country couldn't commit from the Caribbean, from CONCACAF region, and Lord knows what would happen to them, but they just couldn't. They just could not commit to playing their games. So if a player turns up positive, or a group of players turn up positive, then what does the competition do? Where do you go from there? But the thing is, this is the other most important thing that you have to realize. If a player tests positive, who is responsible for the player? Because remember, it's a quarantine thing now, right? You got to quarantine for 14 days. These are the things that I know for a fact that Bermuda is talking about with Carifta, because if one of the youngsters tests positive, someone has to stay with the youngster, because from whatever country it is, because they're underage. What do you do? Who pays for that? Where do you get that funding from? And then when they get back to their country, will they have to quarantine again? Who pays for that? So all these things are out there that the player, the coach, the management, the administration, everybody has to be on the same page when you put your hand up to commit to say, this is what I want to be a part of, knowing these things could happen. So I just think that everybody has to have that buy-in. And
I don't even want to throw in the vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Exactly. That's really a confusing situation.
Please,
yeah.
Don't go down there, because
But Earl, before I forget, I heard that some of the youngsters were actually doing well over in England. Did you?
Yeah, definitely. I've got some. We've had some good knocks from the likes of Amari Eben and Corey Smith helped French Cricket Club win yesterday. They bowled out Timsbury for 78. Corey had 7 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 10.
Okay.
And I know you have some others that I have some others as well. Cameron Jeffers is playing in Cardiff. He was 2 not out yesterday. They won by 83 runs. He bowled 6 overs, no maidens, none for 15. Then we had Jamel Proctor, who you mentioned earlier. He scored 23 not out for his team, Shrewsbury, and they went down by 6 wickets. He was 23 not out over 27 in that game. But we had Logan Jones playing for Segberg. Yesterday, he bowled one over. He gave up 15, but he would score 79 before being run out. He faced 75 balls, hitting 8 fours and 1 6. And then today we had some others in action that are doing quite well as well. So, I mean, these youngsters are getting the opportunity, as Doc said, as Reggie said, they're getting the opportunity to be in a different environment, and it can only bode well for the level at which they play to help the local side.
And I think Logan got 82 today as well. He got 79, then 80. So I would only assume that, I mean, you got youngsters like that are on the radar, because really and truly, if you're talking about preparing for a tournament, I think they're already in. They should be already in favor. But,
the good thing for a lot of these guys that we're talking about now, is that they got exposed to the senior level of cricket last season.
Exactly.
So confidence-wise, I mean, they won a few games, they lost a few games, but I think just being in the environment of the senior level in Bermuda as a team helped them.
Yes.
And you can see it now that they're back in an environment where they're playing with guys that are a little bigger, a little stronger. Because not a lot of them are playing with they're playing with the school teams, which is the age group, but they're playing up as well. So when you start talking about you're playing with the first and second teams, you've got 2 or 3 quality guys in those teams that can bowl well and bat well. So
of course, and like you said, if we've got senior and junior tournaments coming up, I mean, it's worth having a look at them. Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Tucker, I want to thank you very much for your time.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, good to see you. We're not in green and gold anymore.
I ain't getting back to those days. There's competitive days. This is what you're talking about.
What house were you on?
Zoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what house were you on? Pyramid?
I think that's Pyramid. How do you know I was on Pyramid?
Yeah, because you were the only person from St. George's on Pyramid. Nobody else from St. George's would go on Pyramid.
I got picked out of the head.
I knew when I first went there, I said, what is the school colors? And they said, well, we have this Pyramid, McLaughlin, Zoo, and Smiths. I said, well, which one's blue?
Yeah. I think they just done it for fun.
Yeah. You run around the school in red.
But seriously, and Carl, guess what? All right. So listen, real quick story, right? I got transferred, right? Okay, Tatum clear, so I got transferred up Somerset, right? So I'm like, of course, I'm working with Talk, right? So I said to Talk, Doc, man, the thing about it, right? I don't mind, the drive to Somerset. Somerset is beautiful. I don't mind. The hardest part for me is passing this pink building, knowing that they have something inside there that belongs to me. That's the hardest part. Teaching at the school is fun. Every time I got to go course building that has blue blinds and has something inside there that belongs to me.
That depends which route you take.
The lock.
That depends which route you take.
That's my cup up there.
It's coming here this year. It's coming here.
Unbelievable.
Coming here.
Don't worry, see right outside your office.
All right, I've had enough of you.
All right.
You guys have a good night, all right? Thanks a lot, Talk.
Take care, Doc.
Pleasure.
All right, Talk.
All right.
Okay, right.
Thanks again, Earl.